Hi, Karen. Happy mid-April and happy spring.
Katie, so wonderful to see you. Happy spring to you. It's bunny season here in Chicago. There are just bunnies everywhere. It's like Snow White outside right now.
Oh, it sounds so beautiful. Like before we press record, you mentioned that it's like in the 70s and 80s. What?
I know. It's 79 degrees right now, and it's a Friday when we're recording this. And by Monday, it's going to snow. Like
Oof.
legit, it's going to snow.
Oh, that's such a bummer. I am in not at all a similar spot, but I definitely relate. I can remember that very well. Our weather here in Bend is just fucking freezing. It's like full
No.
on Siberia vibes. Yeah, so it has at least there is some sun. It has not been sunny for a while, but yeah, it's been like in the mid 20s. And so yeah, it's like it's cold, cold. Like you walk outside and you're like, shit. Like it's like, yeah, like if you're not wearing a hat, like you're gonna get sick type of cold. It's bizarre.
What?
I know, it's really weird.
Oh
It's
my
not
gosh.
normal apparently, but it's getting me really antsy to figure out a different solution for my housing next year, actually. Seriously, I have been talking to I got so mad the other day because I was just like, I have seasonal affective disorder. I am pissed. I am mad all the time. And he was just like, do you want to move? Like, and I was like, well, right now I do. And he was like, okay, wait. Because we've been working on our backyard and like we have construction going on with like building a patio and stuff. And he's like, we need to tell those construction workers to stop working. I don't want to be paying money. And I was like, oh my God. I so appreciate that he's like taking me seriously and listening, but no, I don't want to move. Like I don't want to move. I just want like a winter home in Hawaii. Thank you very much.
Yes, it is the dream. You got to chase the good weather across the country slash the world if you have to, and you have the means to. Yes.
Right? I mean, I have been thinking that I want to go to like South America next February and March. I mean, I don't actually know if that's going to happen. I don't want to leave Lucy for 2 months, but like oh, Karen, it is rough. I definitely think I need one of those sad lights though. That's something that's like foundational.
I tried it. I have a happy light. It's literally called a happy light.
Oh,
And I don't, it may have worked marginally. I feel like I would forget that it's there. It's right on my desk. I'm looking right at it. I would forget that I had it. And I feel like the thing about seasonal affective disorder, of course, is that like you're, you feel so shitty, you don't want to do anything,
yes, exactly.
including the things that would make you feel better.
Yes, totally. So instead, you just stuff your face full of dark chocolate and cupcakes if you're me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I had a telehealth call with my doctor as like a follow-up to my surgery. Not my surgeon, but my normal general practitioner here in Bend. And we were going over blood work that was like pre-surgery blood work, so just like normal blood work. And I was like, "What is this red part of this?" Because it's like, like all these numbers and then one of them is in red. And she's like, "Oh, that's your LDL cholesterol, Katie." And I was like, "Oh, is that good?" She's like, "No, that's bad cholesterol and you're a little high." She's like, "I'm not that worried about it. I put it into this matrix and like put in all of your stats. And in the next 10 years, your likelihood of a stroke or heart attack is less than 1%." And I was like, what? Like, I was just like,
What the hell?
what the hell?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I just was
No.
picturing you beforehand being like, I'm going to eat it whatever the fuck I want.
Yes,
This is about to be really
exactly.
traumatic.
Yes, exactly. And then I was like, also the matrix of my like probability of a health event, like I'm just like I don't know what to do with this but information, but I was like, okay, can we go back to the LDL? She's like, yeah, it's really just about your diet and exercise, Katie. And I was like, well, it's not the exercise. I like to exercise. I'm like, I am an emotional eater who eats a lot of shit. And she's like, well, you really need to like cut back on red meat and meat products in general. And I was like, well, that's easy because I'm a vegetarian. And she was just like, okay. And it basically was just like, then you must be eating other shit. And so, yeah, she wasn't shamey about it. It was more that, like, you know, I need to eat less pizza, probably less cupcakes. I eat a lot of cupcakes lately, especially.
Well, as you should.
Mm, thank you.
Yes. Well, and more proof that the mainstream medical establishment doesn't really know what the fuck they're talking about a lot of the time.
I mean, a matrix, like about stroke and heart attack risk. I don't know. I
In 10
just,
years,
yeah, I'm like, I hope I don't have anything like that in like 30 years, 50, 75 years. I'll be the oldest person alive ever. Anyway, all this is to say that that's what I've been doing when it's 25 degrees outside is eating chocolate cupcakes. That's actually a fact. Yeah.
I mean, it's warm here. And what did I do last night? I sat outside drinking cocktails. So,
Yes. I mean, that's great. No shame. I have, yeah, I think that's amazing. So anyway, but yes, happy spring to us. I hope that it gets nicer here. I hope, I mean, are you liking this heat or how are you feeling about it?
oh, I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really do. I really do hate winter, like deeply, deeply hate winter. And then I like also don't love being like super, super hot, but like this like burst of spring has just been lovely and everything is blooming right now.
Oh,
I'm into it.
that's
Yes.
so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. It's like life-giving. It's just like
Yes.
you're basically in a tanning bed. Like that's it's like the feeling of being I mean, I used to like to go into tanning beds when I was in high school and like
Ooh,
just which I know is not a positive thing, but like at least it's just this feeling of warmth and like beauty and sunlight and just I love that everything's blooming too. That's wonderful.
yes. Ah, which I mean, one of the things that we said that we were going to talk about, this is a hodgepodge episode, right?
Yes.
Was spring fever. And I definitely feel like I have gone from like, I'm never leaving my house again to like, ooh, I can just walk to that place. Like it just happened overnight for me.
Yes, I love that for you. Where are you
Yeah.
walking? Are there like shops, restaurants, bars, great things within walking distance?
All of those things, yes. And the girls and I somehow talked them into going to the pool hall in our neighborhood,
Ooh, would love this for you.
right? Which used to be called Maria's. Oh my gosh, let me see if I can find the sign quickly. So just to give you a sense of what the vibe of Maria's used to be,
Yeah.
hold please.
Maria's
If you
pool
like
hall.
Maria's pool hall. Oh, so many drunken photos later. Oh my God, I have to find it. I know this is taking a long time. Talk
It's
amongst
totally
yourselves.
fine. No, I mean, what can I say about pool halls? I did grow up with an inherited pool table from my great grandfather in my basement.
Oh,
You'd think that I was like a really like a big pool shark. No, no.
didn't.
I don't know. I don't even think I know the rules. Mhm.
Oh, I've never been good at pool. Okay, it was called Marie's Golden Q.
Nice.
And the sign out front for years said, we have smooth shafts and clean balls.
Really? Oh my God, that's amazing. Wait, why don't they have that sign anymore? That seems like it should be grandfathered in with the National Register of Historic Places.
The Marie's Golden Q part was very cool. And I feel like they've kept that part.
Yeah.
It's now called something else.
Okay.
And it's gone super hipster. Like I rolled into there, I got the girls going in there to go in there thinking like it was still Marie's. It's super divey in there. That's the sign out front that gives you a sense of what you're getting into. No, no, super hipster, craft cocktails. It's great.
Wow, it sounds lovely.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But and there's still smooth shafts and clean balls that you
Presumably,
can
we did not play pool.
okay. But it was there. The option was available.
Correct.
Was there an outdoor seating area at least? Was there anything like that? No.
No, we
It's
played darts and I won question mark.
nice.
I feel like Tori let me win just so we could leave.
That sounds like a really fun night though. That sounds great. Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
really does sound like a spring night though.
Right?
It sounds like something where it's like we've all been cooped up for fuck ever and now let's go to Marie's. Like let's just why not? Let's be spontaneous. Spontaneity is so big in spring. I can't wait for that moment in Bend when that happens.
So sorry. It's still
Ugh,
winter there.
it's okay. I mean, I voluntarily moved to a mountain town in the middle of nowhere. So like this, like I did tell Tyler, speaking of spontaneity, I've been talking in therapy about how I want more fun and laughter and joy and levity in my life. And so I mentioned to my therapist, I'm like, I think I want to go on a weekend trip. Like I think, and she was like, why don't you just go to the coast? And she knows Oregon. She's from Portland. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I think I kind of just want it to be a day trip. Like I'm going to Michigan next week. And she was like, you could do that. And so I mentioned it to Tyler and he's like, oh, and he it wasn't that he was like anti, but it was like the coast is 4.5 hours away. So doing a 9 hour round trip in one day is like hard to swallow. And so
Mhm.
long story longer, we're gonna go to the town that's like 40 minutes away and go on a hike and get some coffee and go to a bookshop, and that will be our day trip, and it will be very easy, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it, even though being spontaneous when you're living in Bend to go somewhere does actually include at least conservatively 2 hours. We can't get anywhere in less than 2 hours. It's
Wow.
it's so isolated, Karen. It's weird. It's like that's the one part that's like eh, it's great, but it's also like, okay, I just need my own private plane to like fly me places. I need my Concorde
Yes,
jet to take me and you to Paris.
exactly. And New York City to go shopping. But I guess you
Yes.
can only do transatlantic. I get it. And I feel like this is also a time of year where a change of scenery needs to happen. Even though I'm getting the change of scenery with the trees blooming and the bunnies and all the things, like I also am feeling definitely, like you said, feeling antsy for like, okay,
Yeah,
what's a change of scenery?
totally. Are you planning any trips or I mean, you're making a major trip to Indianapolis, a permanent, not so permanent trip, I guess you could call it.
Yes, that is correct. I have a couple conferences this summer for work that I'm going to go to, but
Nice.
that's the only travel. Yeah, that's the only travel I have planned right now.
Yeah, that's still fun though. I mean, that's like moving is such a Herculean effort that it's just like yeah, it's all consuming. I don't have to tell you that. But yeah, how is the planning going for it? Are you getting excited or is it like, do you ever take weeks off of like, I'm not going to think about this week? Or is that, are you even like, can you even do that? That's like a luxury that it's too far along.
Well, I've been taking weeks off when I'm not in town.
Nice.
Right. And so I took last week off, but this weekend I'm probably going to get back at it. And what has been helpful is to have like decluttering videos playing in the background.
I love this.
Yes. And so while I'm purging and going through things and looking at pieces of paper and Christmas cards that people sent me literally 15 years ago, I have these voices in my head indoctrinating me into why I should let these things go. It has been very, very helpful, I will say, to have those videos playing and to just like hear people's perspectives on why we keep things, why it's important to let them go, that it's okay to let things go. It's okay to keep some things. Like it's been good.
Okay, so decluttering videos, are you watching these on YouTube? Because I've never even heard of decluttering videos. Like you watch
Oh,
people go through their stuff. Is that what this is? Or like what is
oh yeah. This is a deep, deep rabbit hole on
Oh,
YouTube.
really?
Mhm.
Do you go like item by item and they tell you the stories like what? Okay, I'm so interested. How do I find these decluttering videos? Do you just type in decluttering videos? That's it.
Type in decluttering videos, and I feel like most of them are like I follow a lot of professional organizers on YouTube, embarrassingly
Nice.
enough. And so sometimes it's them working with their clients. It's a lot of before and afters.
Wow.
But the one I just did was an hour, and it's this woman, I think it's the minimal mom or the minimalist mom. And it was an hour long video of her going room by room. And she's a minimalist. They don't have a lot of clutter in their house, but like
Yeah,
literally room by room of like how to declutter all of these spaces.
that's amazing. I might need that at some point. I have a tendency to just, not declutter. Like I just add at times. So that's amazing. Are you thinking that when you move to Indy, you're gonna want to embrace a minimalist lifestyle, or do you have any like things that you want to reset when you move there? Or
Ooh, yes. By necessity, because we're merging two households. We're like two grown people
yeah,
moving into a house, but it has a finite amount of space in it. So I feel like I think it's going to be this interesting exercise of determining what our style is as a couple.
Totally.
right? Because I mean, you see this every week. I have a bright green couch
Which is beautiful, by the way.
thank you, flanked by Pepto-Bismol pink chairs and
Yes.
a pink and green rug, like a white but rug with pink and green flowers match. Like everything, it's just like an explosion of like orange pillows, right? All these things. MLB has beautiful, deep chocolate brown leather couches.
Oh yeah. I've seen you on their
Yes.
couches. We've done podcasts when you've been sitting on them. They are very beautiful.
Like very lush, but like the opposite of my like green Kermit the Frog couch. So like what does that look like to merge these two styles?
Totally. Have you talked about like buying new furniture that's the two of yours and selling your furniture, or do you want to keep, or I mean, also if you don't want to share this stuff, I can cut all of this.
No, it's we're gonna merge. I mean, because I do love their furniture, and also we're so house poor right now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you move, everyone is when they move for sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's very exciting. That's wonderful. Okay, so I loved your ideas about this hodgepodge episode. So one of them was hobbies. So what kinds of hobbies are you embracing right now, Karen?
Oh, okay. So Katie, I was hoping you were gonna answer that one because
Great.
I don't have any hobbies right now.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I don't know if I'd call it a hobby. I am walking a ton. I That is the only form of exercise that I'm allowed for the next 6 weeks. And so I am like I'm finding new paths. It's actually really fun. And speaking of bunnies, I saw a bunny today. I also have seen a ton of deer, and like some of them have like big antler things on them. And I'm actually, you know what one of my hobbies is just like I don't want to sound like Donald Trump staring at an eclipse, but I am standing in the middle of trails staring at the sun with sunglasses on. Thank you very much. But it is giving me
Wow.
so much life. It's not for a long period of time, but like I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I feel sun on me right now. I need to stop." And then I turn toward the sun and then I just stand there and then I just keep walking and then I turn again. This is really, I mean, I think we've lost our last listener
Oh
because this is
Lord.
boring, but like that's what I'm doing. And like there are people with their dogs and they're just probably like, what is her deal? I mean, I to the point where like I think it would be great for me to like bring a lawn chair on my back and just like sit down, but I don't want to sit because if I sit, then I'm going to cool off and then I'm going to be reminded that it's 26 degrees outside. So instead, I just stand for like 10 seconds and then I move on. But that's my biggest hobby right now.
Oh, well, that counts. I love the staring at the sun.
I do. I'm like, this is so wonderful. And then I'm taking pictures of the sun. And then I'm like, you know what's weird is like, I used to be so active on Instagram. And now that I'm off Instagram, I realize that I'm just taking pictures for myself and that's fine. But it's like, it's a weird, I don't know. It's not the same, I guess, motivation. I don't know. But anywho, so that's one of the things. And then I used to watercolor paint all the time. This is years ago. And I've been getting thank you cards for people who sent me stuff from during surgery. And like, I just so happened to get these thank you cards that are actually watercolor like cardstock. It just was like a random thing that I found at the store. And so I've been coloring them with watercolor paint and I suck at it. Like I am I like put a bunch of them out and I was like there some of them are in hearts and some of them and but then some of them I'm like, "Hmm, what is that?" And so I was like, "Hey Tyler, what do you think?" And he's like I was like, "Which one is your favorite?" And of course he picks like the one that is like the most neat like, drawing of a heart. And then I'm like, "Well, what about that one?" He's like, "Well, it's great. It's good that you're doing this again." I was just like I'm like, "I can't send that one,
Oh.
can I?" And he's like, "No, it's fine." Like he just doesn't want to give me negative feedback. That's not helpful to anyone. And so, but yeah. I actually think that I want to start taking online watercolor classes or maybe just watercolor classes like in Bend sometime. I don't know, but it would just be fun to just try to be creative and yeah, because I'm not doing like singing lessons anymore. I can't use my diaphragm in that way. Like, blah blah blah. I mean, I can use my diaphragm. I'm using it right now, but I can't like belt out pink songs right now. Like that's ill-advised. So yeah,
For the time being.
for the time being.
We How is the paint by numbers Sonia Sotomayor going?
Okay, I need to start it, Karen. I haven't started. Now I
You
am like
should.
intimidated by myself and also just like keep thinking like how much of a nerd are you that you like this is me and my negative self-talk that I like buy Supreme Court Justice paint by number, kits. But at the same time I'm like, no, she's a fucking badass and she's amazing and like we need her now more than ever. And so like, you know, I'll definitely do it at some point. Maybe I'll bring it on like a plane or something. No, that doesn't make any sense because I have to have water. It's not
Oh my God.
watercolor. That would be
Oh
really
my
messy.
God. You're the worst seatmate ever.
Ever. I would make sure to do that and also bring my hard-boiled eggs to eat on the plane. I'm just kidding. I've never done that before, but I've heard of people doing that and I'm like, you should be ejected. Like that's yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, the hard boiled egg thing. That's hard to say. So I've mentioned on this podcast before that my workplace, every Monday, we have this Monday meeting. And one of the first things that happens is that we get broken into groups and there is a question that we're supposed to discuss. You can talk
Oh,
about whatever you want, but like there's also like there's always this question that you can pick to talk about.
yeah.
I got this week's question was like it was pure chaos and it led to the wildest conversations. It was under which conditions would you eat a hard-boiled egg that had been handed to you by a random person on public transportation?
Okay, wait, hold on a second. I have a lot of questions about this question. Did you get fed this question from your employer, or was this just part of this just came? Oh, that so
Yeah.
you
Oh, no,
oh
no. People operations. We don't have HR, we have people ops. People ops organizes this meeting. And that was the question for Pops this week was that about the hard boiled egg. And it was just like, okay, everybody go into your breakout rooms. And everybody it was like just pandemonium, like, what the fuck? Yeah. Hilarious.
okay. I actually think that's an awesome and totally valid question, and I will be bringing that up in conversation for the next week straight. But like
Please do.
that is oh my this is okay, wait. So okay, wait. Can you repeat that one more time? So it's
It's like under what condition would you I don't know if it was eat. It was like under what condition would you accept a hard-boiled egg from a random person on public transportation?
what did everyone say? What did you say, Karen?
I said if Beyonce handed me the egg, I would eat it.
Which is the only right answer. Yes.
Correct.
What did some of your coworkers say?
Oh my God. Well, what's hilarious is that like usually we get the question, we all log in, and then we get broken into the rooms. Well, it took a long time for us to get broken into the rooms this time. So we probably had like 5 to 7 minutes for like all 35 or 40 people on this call to like freak the fuck out in the chat. And so one of the first responses was my colleague who's from Wisconsin, no tea, no shade. He was just like, eggs. I love eggs. I would eat the egg. And everyone was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What are
Oh
you
my God.
talking about? Okay, wait, is
Yeah.
it a peeled hard-boiled egg? Please say no. It's
I
that.
mean, these were all questions. Everything that you were thinking, everything, listeners, every question that you have in your mind was raised during this call. And then what's hilarious is that people operations after the call later in the day sent us an itemized list of answers to the questions.
Oh my gosh, what were some of the answers? This is so fascinating.
It was like how long the egg had been cooked for, when it had been cooked, whether or not it had to peel on. It was like so funny. Yeah, they took this very seriously because we all freaked out.
That's actually really amazing. That is like an awesome icebreaker. Like that's just like the most random shit in the world. Like that is so okay, I will answer. I think the only circumstance in which I would take a hard-boiled egg, peeled or not peeled, on public transportation from a stranger is if a child who clearly didn't know what they were doing and like desperately wanted to give it to me was like trying to give me a gift and it was like I had no way out and I was like looking at the child in the eyes and being like this will make the child happier. I will hold this. I won't eat it. Fuck that. But I will hold it. That's the only way I think I would do it. Well, I mean, and maybe
Yeah.
Beyonce.
Correct. And Beyonce. And it was funny, of course, because this was Monday, which is the day after Easter. So like
Oh yeah.
people had a lot of questions like, oh, well, was it a dyed egg? Was it an Easter egg? Like, yeah, I said Beyonce, because Beyonce is not on the CTA. I feel pretty safe in that. But then of course what it reminded me of is that like I've drank alcohol handed to me by strangers on the CTA.
Have you?
Oh yeah, at least twice in my life. There's been a random guy with a case of beer who's like, "Hey, you want one?" Well, of course I do. It's an unopened beer on the CTA. I'm gonna drink it.
I mean, it's unopened. So yes, it's not just
Yes.
like a flask that's being passed around.
There's not a guy with a mini bar
Yes.
cut up in the drain.
Wow.
Just
I
the last little.
really want the person who came up with that question to come on the pod because I feel like they could fill dozens of episodes with these questions. Like these are brain busters. Like this is amazing.
It was so good. It was just like the other thing, the last thing I'll say about it is that like so the person who came up with this question was completely like, what?
This is
It's just a
totally
question.
normal. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I mean, literally pandemonium in the chat on people's faces, and he was just like completely like, huh.
Oh my gosh, that's really amazing. That actually really makes my day.
You're
It's
welcome.
like, because you think about like those would you or wouldn't you questions, and I just feel like they're kind of boring sometimes. Like, and it's like not boring, but like if you, I mean, I guess they're not boring, but like I think the ones that I've come up with are kind of boring. Like, if you could only have cheese or chocolate in the, world in which they don't hurt your body, which would you choose? You can never have one, you can never have the other again for the rest
Oh,
of your life.
oh, which would you pick?
I think long term, I would pick cheese. I don't know. Maybe I would choose chocolate. Yeah, I see. This is not as interesting as the egg question.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not eating either of those things right now.
Exactly. Yes.
So, I know my last thing, and I have my eye on the time. I have no idea how long this
Yes.
episode is. You're welcome, everyone. I did want to mention I watched the Brooke Shields documentary.
Ooh. Oh, that's right. What is that called?
Pretty baby, maybe. Pretty is it called pretty? Pretty some.
Something
Hold
like
on.
that.
Yes. I was obsessed with Brooke Shields when I was a kid. I just loved her. My sister had the Brooke Shields like autobiography whenever
Wow.
I was how old, and I like read the whole thing. I loved I for whatever reason, I just loved her, loved all her shows. And so I didn't realize this is a series. So I
Oh.
watched the first episode, yes. And it takes you from like birth to graduation from Princeton. And it is a wild ride, y'all. I highly recommend it. And I want you to watch it, Katie, and see what you think about it because it is like a time capsule of sexism and horror in this country. It really is.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I will totally watch it. I mean, I remember Brooke Shields in like the Blue Lagoon, going to the Oscars with Michael Jackson, like that kind of stuff, but she was such a I mean, objectified isn't even a strong enough word, like, 'cause she was so young, right? And like,
Right.
weren't there was something going on with her parents, I thought too, right? Or maybe not. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah. Her mother was her manager, and she was
Yes.
also very active alcoholic and
Wow.
making all of these decisions for her daughter and acting as if her 9-year-old somehow had some kind of autonomy over it. And when you realize how young she was, it made me nauseous. And of course, I watched it with MLB, who was just like so mortified, who I feel like didn't grow up with Brooke Shields in the same way. So
Totally, totally.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I will absolutely watch it. I didn't realize that it was a series either. Pretty Baby. I think you're right. I think that is what yeah, I think I've
yeah.
seen like, the trailers for it or whatever. So, wow. That's yeah, I think what shows have I been watching lately? Oh my gosh. I watched the most amazing documentary. I'm going to mispronounce it. It's called Nalvini. Now Navalny. Nalvani,
Oh,
and it's that word is the last name of a political prisoner in Russia right now currently.
oh,
And it won the best documentary for the Oscars like last month. And basically it's the story of him and how he was running against Putin. This is not going to be a spoiler. Well, I mean, I can just basically explain it, but it's like it's so well done. I mean, it
oh,
really run it like it's incredible. But anyway, so like the movie kind of follows him where he runs against Putin to be president of Russia. And this is back in like 2019 maybe or something like that. 2019, 2020. And a ton of people apparently ran against Putin. And like the Kremlin didn't really think of it as anything, except that this guy is actually like this really charismatic. He's a lawyer. He's totally progressive. He like really speaks to what a lot of people in Russia don't feel like they have voice of, or he speaks their voice basically. That doesn't actually make sense, but you get my point. Anyway, and so like he is like people resonate with him with his message, and which has to do with human rights and all this stuff anyway. And so the Kremlin started trying to assassinate him, and they ended up poisoning him, and they poisoned a lot of people, but they almost killed him. And the story is basically following him because he had to recover in Europe for several months, and then he decided to go back to Russia, and it talks about what happens then. And like it sounds really depressing. It was actually really interesting because he's very like the guy himself is actually this very like light filled, like humor filled person who's like super high vibe. Like, I mean, I would want to be his friend. Like, he's just a cool dude. And so, like, it was in that way, it was like, wow, like, how is this guy able to have lightness in his life when, he's trying to be killed every time he walks out of the house? And so it's just really interesting. And yeah, he's in prison right now in solitary confinement.
Oh, so he went back to Russia and got arrested.
Yeah, that's I guess a little bit of a spoiler, but it's like it was part of apparently like I kind of remember that happening. Like it made international news, and I think it was like late 2020. But yeah, he went back. He knew he was going to get arrested.
Mm.
But apparently like the truth of it is that he has had like horrible treatment, and he's almost died of like what is it, like a hunger strike. And yeah, his family actually was on stage at the Oscars accepting the Oscar on like, and it was just so fascinating to see that because I think they must be living in the US or something like that to be safe. Like that's, yeah, it's a lot. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is happening right now.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a dark one, but
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
gosh. I mean, the Brooke Shields one is also, it's fascinating. It is not that dark, but it is pretty dark. The only good thing is that you get to see contemporary interviews with her and her contemporaries. Like Laura Linney, I think, is one of her best friends. And
oh, awesome.
yeah, ooh,
That's so cool. I'll totally watch that. I also am watching Succession on HBO. Have you ever watched it?
no.
It's the writing is so good, and so I've really been enjoying that. It's the last season of that. I've been wanting to get into Abbott Elementary. I only watched like the first part of the first episode, and I don't know, I think I was going somewhere, so I had to turn it off. But anyway, yeah, I need to get back to it. What else are you watching?
I think Abbott, yeah, just that and Abbott. Oh, and then, oh my God, I don't know if I've told you. It's such an embarrassing confession. If I talked that MLB got me hooked on the most saccharine show,
What show?
I'm so embarrassed by this. It's called Sweet Magnolias.
I mean, like the Gina Davis movie? Like
Well, that's oh my gosh, Steel Magnolias.
Yes, Steel Magnolias. Yes.
This is Sweet Magnolias, and it is based on a series of, I'm sure, very saccharine books by some woman author. I'm sure she's a lovely person, but it's like a Netflix show. It's a Netflix original series.
Okay.
And it's these three friends in this small town called Serenity, somewhere, I think it's South Carolina.
Okay.
And it's low-key a soap opera. And MLB wanted me to watch it because I can't really watch, as you know, episodic television. Like
Yeah,
I have an issue.
totally.
But I will watch this, and it's so embarrassing how into it I am. It's 2 seasons, and I've watched the entire thing.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But it's good. Like good character development. Sweet Magnolias on Netflix.
Sweet Magnolias. I'm so embarrassing. It's
I mean,
fine.
it's okay. I mean, I think like a lot of people I know are into like Love Island and all of the other reality shows that are just disguised as are these people going to have sex shows, every single one. Like, yes, they are. That's,
Yeah.
spoiler. Like that's, but yes.
Love is Blind. That's the one all my coworkers are watching.
Yeah, yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's one on a yacht and like the yacht burns down or something. I don't know. That was on the trailer. I was like, just another of this, like, as if I am better than that. I'm not at all. I've just never been into it. And then like the Housewives and all of those things, like those are going strong. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kardashians. Yeah.
Yes. I actually watched, oh my God, what is it called? I watched this show. I have to tell you before we get off. So it's this show on sorry for the pause. Yes, okay, Shrinking. Shrinking. Have you watched this, Karen? It's on Apple
No.
TV Plus.
Oh, with Will Ferrell, is that it?
It's actually with so it's Jason Segel and Jessica Williams and Harrison Ford,
Oh.
and the premise doesn't sound that interesting. It's three therapists and it kind of like talks about their lives. It has some of the best writing and is laugh out loud funny. And it's thankfully it was episodic, but now you can just binge it on because it's over
Mm.
on Apple TV. It just was renewed for another season. I think it might be one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like
Ooh.
it is so good. And it's so fucking funny. And it like deals with real topics. It really deals with a lot of like grief topics, but it makes it in a way that's like very it's not at all like nothing is sugar coated. Like it's actually like really really real. And I also did major deep dives into every single actor and why they chose it and like
Yep.
yeah. And so I mean Jessica Williams, I hope she wins an Emmy for it because I think she's incredible. I love her. And so like yeah, I mean I it's so good. Actually, Harrison Ford's kind of funny in it too, but it's like Harrison Ford in a comedy, what? And then Jason Segel's great too. So it's just Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. I wish we were sponsored by them because we would be getting lots of money.
Say not sponsored. Oh my God. I was listening to last week's episode and that my whole thing about Newly.
Oh yeah, right? They totally should sponsor us.
I know I should have been like, "Oh, not sponsored." Oh, you're
Mm-hmm.
giving me
Step up, Newly.
so much. What are you waiting for?
Exactly. We have a lot of listeners that would easily use our, like our discount code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not okay 15 for 15% off. Right? Like it's like we can make this shit up like this, but by the way, don't use that discount code. That's not real.
It's not real.
we
It
should
also makes me go ahead.
we should totally make fake discount codes and put them as like commercials. Stay tuned, friends. This might be a new thing that we do.
Not okay. Are you not okay 15% of the time? You can now get a discount. 15% discount. Yeah.
Yes, on your next cupcake purchase because that is what you're gonna need. Okay, well, this is really fun, Karen. Thank you for
Thank
talking to
you.
me in the middle of the day. It's so wonderful to see you as always. And friends, we're really, really thankful for all of you, and we will see everybody next week.